So, very good morning to you all, my dear students, and I welcome you all into the Industrial Pharmacy 1. So, in case of pre-formulation, we are onto the dissolution, and while studying the dissolution, we are studying the dissolution theories. So, there are three different theories that is said to be the diffusion layer model, then the penetration or the surface renewal theory, and the interfacial barrier model. As far as the first and second is concerned, that already we saw in our previous lecture that it will consist of the stagnant layer. So this is the stagnant layer, and that will goes into the biological system. And in case of surface renewal theory, there is a packets of the solvents, and these solvents, they will carry the drug material into the biological fluid and then into the biological system. So this will consist of, that is the continuous exposure to the fresh dissolution medium, then the numerous eddies, EDDIES, eddies or packets are there in the agitating medium. So this is the medium, and this medium will contain these packets. So these are called as the eddies, and these are the packets which will containing the drug substance. Solute diffuses into the packets and is carried to the bulk medium. Unlike previous theory, no stagnant film layer is there due to the turbulence or the constant surface renewal. The third theory is the interfacial barrier model, which is also called as a limited solvation theory. Now, what this theory is, you can see there is an interfacial barrier model. There is a CS and there is a CT. There is a rapid mixing, and this is the particular static liquid. So this solid and this is the bulk medium. So this is the third theory. And this is also called a limited solvation theory. A crystal undergoes dissolution through an interfacial process in the dissolving medium. The true surface area of the crystal must be considered. Each surface provides a different contribution to the dissolution process. Now, when we are talking about the dissolution, we must understand what particular apparatus that is used in order to study the dissolution. So the dissolution apparatus, it is useful in order to carry out the study of dissolution. Now, this apparatus is used in order to mimic, in order to give the simulated environment, which is same like that of the in vivo system. So it is reasonable mimicking of the physiological conditions as it is existing inside of our body. It will consist of a jar. So that jar, it is hemispherical at its bottom. Now, why this hemispherical shape is there? It is again to mimic the GIT environment, because the shape of the intestine in case of our body, if you see the anatomy, it is hemispherical at its bottom. So that's why the hemispherical shape jar is going to be used. The volume of the media, as there is a gastric media in case of our body, in case of our stomach. So the same kind of environment that is going to be provided here, and the volume is 900 to 1000 ml. So that is because of the capacity of our stomach, of our intestines. Now the temperature which is maintained at body temperature, that is maintained with the help of the heaters. So that is 37 degree plus or minus 1 degree Celsius. And agitation is going to be given with paddle or basket to mimic the gastric motility, because in case of our body, there is a continuous churning movement which is occurring in case of stomach as well as in case of the intestines. So that mimicking effect will be given because of the presence of the paddles or because of the presence of the rotating basket. And these apertures that might be single or the multi-station. That means it will contain one hemispherical shape jar or it will contain 6 or 8 or even more than that depending on the requirement. So based on the numbers, there is either 6 station apertures or there is a 8 station dissolution apertures. Next, you can see these are the official dissolution test apertures which are given in case of the Indian pharmacopoeia. The first one that is said to be the paddle type. So this is the paddle, and you can see it is called as the type 1. So the paddle type that is said to be the type 1 apertures, and the type 2 that is said to be the basket type, right? You need to understand all these specifications related with all. So here there is a basket which is going to be holding the drug, which is going to be holding the tablet, and in case of this hemispherical shape, at the bottom we are placing the tablet. So this paddle is responsible for giving the rotation, for giving the agitation, which is similar to that of the churning movement in case of our body. Whereas in case of rotating basket, this basket will goes on revolving, it will goes on rotating. There are dimensions, and these dimensions are very specific, these are very standard one, and what all are figures which has been given the digits, that is the dimension in terms of the millimeters, right? So there is a need to thoroughly study these two apertures. Which one is said to be the type 1, that is the paddle type, which one is said to be the type 2, that is the basket type. And you should know all these dimensions, because these dimensions that might be asked sometime in case of the GPAT examinations. So you need to several times draw this particular diagram in order to become thorough with it and its dimensions. Now here you can see that official dissolution test apertures, that is the USP. Now if you see the USP, it is the rotating basket 1. So which is said to be the apertures number 1, whereas the apertures number 2, that is the rotating paddle. Whereas in case of IP, we will going to find the rotating paddle, that is the type 1, and the rotating basket, that is the type 2. You can see as per the IP, the rotating basket, that is the type 2, and the paddle type, that is the type 1. But as far as USP, it is the rotating basket which is the apertures number 1, and rotating paddle which is the apertures number 2. So which is going to be used for the oral immediate release and the modified release type of formulation. There are 7 different apertures which is given by the USP, and based on the particular type, it is going to be very specific as well as its use is concerned. That is the apertures number 3 and 4, it is used for the oral modified release. Apertures number 5, 6, it is used for the transdermal drug delivery system, and 7, that is for the transdermal non-disintegrating and the oral modified release. So again, you need to thorough with all these, because these are also important one, and sometimes it is going to be asked very specifically that in case of as per the USP, which is the apertures number 2, whether it is type basket or the paddle one. So you should know it is the paddle one, right? Now here we can see the different factors which will going to affect the process of dissolution apertures. Earlier the factors which we saw, that was related with that of the affecting the process of dissolution, and here these factors, they will affect the apertures. So the factors are the type of apertures, whether it is paddle or whether it is basket one, the dissolution medium, what kind of dissolution medium we are using. There are different types of the dissolution mediums which are there, and the agitation speed. How much is the agitation speed? That is 50 rpm, 75 rpm, or the 100 rpm. Temperature will also has its effect onto the functioning of these apertures. Now if we will see the first one, that is the type of apertures, as already I told you that there is a basket and the paddle one. So which one we are going to be using? And as far as dissolution medium is concerned, the medium that is responsible for giving the mimicking effect of the physiological conditions in terms of volume pH, and it is used to simulate the intestinal fluid. Dissolution medium of pH 6.8 that should be employed, and to stimulate the gastric fluid, a dissolution medium of pH 1.2 should be employed without enzymes. There is no need to add the enzymes. Sometimes we may go for adding the co-solvents. Sometimes we are going to be adding the surfactants, but every time it is not advisable. Now, the International Pharmaceutical Federation, they had recommended the different kinds of the medias. As we said that there are 4 different medias. Now, what are these? There is a 0.1 normal hydrochloric acid, which is most of the time it is used, the buffer solution at a pH of 4.5. The simulated intestinal fluid without pancreatin enzyme, the pH is 7.5, and 0.05 molar phosphate buffer solution, which will be having pH value of 5.82 at. Now, when we are saying that the dissolution that is completely occurring, or when we can say that it is a rapid dissolving, so there is a standard definition which is given as per the International Pharmaceutical Federation, which will recommend the 4 different medias. And in case of all these 4 different medias, when we are going to be saying as the rapid dissolving, we can say that the substance is said to be the rapid dissolving when an immediate-release drug product is characterized as a rapid dissolving when no less than or not less than of the labeled amount of drug substance dissolves within 30 minutes using USP apparatus 1. That is the basket 1. USP apparatus 1. USP apparatus 1. Which one it is? It is the basket 1. At a 100 RPM, the basket that is rotated at a speed of 100 revolutions per minute, or the USP apparatus 2, that means it is the parallel type 1, and here the RPM that is the 50 RPM in a volume of 900 ml, the volume that will remain constant to both or less of each of the recommended media, and it should give the not less than 85% within the 30 minutes, not less than 85% within the 30 minutes. So in that case, we can say that the drug is the rapid resolving. Here you can see the process of agitation. As I said that the bowel movement, that is the churning movement. So in order to give the mimicking effect to that of the in vivo physiological system, we are giving the agitation. So that is to give the gastric motility, to mimic the gastric motility. The mild agitation condition should be maintained during the dissolution testing to allow maximum discriminating power. The agitation is done to detect product with poor in vivo performance. Generally 50 to 75 to 100 RPMs are employed and mentioned in the monograph. So all these things are there into the monograph, and according to the monograph it should be given. If you see the temperature effect onto the apparatus, there is a need to maintain the 37 degree centigrade temperature. 37 degrees centigrade plus or minus 1 degree Celsius variations. That means this should be the absolute. The case is not like that once we are placing the tablet or capsule or any kind of dosage form, then we are going on increasing. No, it is not like that. It is absolute one. Once it will reach the 37 degree, after that only we need to add the drug, we need to add the dosage form. The temperature of apparatus must be maintained before the beginning of the test. Yes, very correct. Increase or decrease in temperature may affect the solubility and the dissolution. So there is a need to go for maintaining the 37 degrees Celsius temperature. If it will get increased, it will cause the increase into the solubility. So that will be responsible for giving the false or the improper results, unpredictable results, which is not desirable one. Next to dissolution, what is important for a drug substance, that is the permeability. Unless and until the drug won't have the permeability, the substance cannot cross the biological membrane and cannot appear into the systemic circulation. So for which you need to understand, let's say for example, this is the drug which has gone into the solution, and after that, if the drug that will possess the permeability, if the drug that is permeable, if the drug is lipid soluble, then only the permeability is there. Let's say for example, if the drug that is having high solubility, but if the drug don't have the permeability, if the drug don't have the lipid solubility, then it cannot cross and it cannot appear and it cannot get absorbed. So permeability, that is most important in order to absorb the drug. So the permeability that is predicted by the partition coefficient, we already saw, that is the amount of drug substance that is getting dissolved, or it is the ratio of solubility of the drug into the organic and the aqueous phase. So it depends on the chemical nature, molecular weight, and the microenvironment of the drug. We saw that dissolution, when we can say that it is the rapidly dissolving. In the same way, we can define the highly permeable one. The drug substance is considered highly permeable when the extent of intestinal absorption is determined to be 85% or higher, right? So the drug substance is said to be the highly permeable. When it is said to be the highly permeable, when the extent of intestinal absorption, when the drug that will get absorbed and its quantity is not less than 85%. So that means that should be more than that of the 85%. Then in that case, we can say that the drug substance that is highly permeable. So permeability that can be assessed by the in vitro dissolution cells. You can see this is the diffusion cell. In this diffusion cell, there is a receiver compartment, there is a donor compartment that is placed onto the receiver compartment. Between these donor and the receiver, this is the donor, this is the receiver. Between these two, we are going to be placing the membrane, whether it may be skin or it may be biological membrane or any artificial membrane. Then this is the inlet for the maintaining the temperature, that is 37 degrees centigrade. From here the water is injected, and then here it is outlet. This is inlet, this is outlet, and this is the sampling port. So the drug that will passes, or the substance that will passes, it will get collected into this receiver, and from here the sampling that is going to be done. We'll be having a short video which will going to explain the process of diffusion cell. If time permit, I will show it to you, but at this moment we have to go a little bit fast. And these are the clamps. These clamps are responsible for holding the donor compartment with that of the receiver compartment. Here you can see the different two different types, that is the Franz diffusion cell, and this is the Cashiri-Chen diffusion cell. So these are the vertical type one.
This is the
Now let's move to the BCS classification system, the biopharmaceutical classification system, that will stands for the BCS, and a drug developed tool proposed by the Amidon model. So the drug that is going to be classified into the 4 different classes, that is said to be the Amidon classification in 1995, which was given by the Amidon. And based on the aqueous solubility and the intestinal permeability, the drug substances, they are classified into the different types. So based on that, the rate and extent of drug absorption from solid oral dosage forms, they will depend on the dissolution, solubility, and the intestinal permeability. So based on the permeability and solubility, the drug, these are classified into the 4 different classes, which is said to be the BCS classification. BCS is what? Biopharmaceutical classification system. What the BCS is? It is the biopharmaceutical classification system. What are the 4 different classes? Class 1 to class 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And which is the class 1? The class 1 is said to be the drug substance which are highly soluble and highly permeable. Class 2 is the class of drugs which will be having low solubility, high permeability. The class 3 is the class of drug which will be having high solubility and low permeability. Whereas class 4, it is the class of the drug which will be having the low permeability and the low solubility. So based on this classification system, the Amidon, they had given the 4-box model. So this is said to be the 4-box model, 1, 2, 3, 4. The one class that is said to be the particular class, or the first box, or the one box that will represent the drug with the high solubility, high permeability. Second box that will represent low solubility, high permeability. The third box that will represent high permeability, low solubility, and the fourth box that will represent the drug with the low solubility and the low permeability. If you will just have a look over onto that of the total market share related with these classes of the drugs, the top 200 marketed drugs USA, these are given by the BCS classification system, and you can see that the major proportion, that is 31 to 30% proportion, that will goes to the BCS class 1 and class 2 respectively. Whereas the classification for the non-chemical entity, that is the prevalence by the BCS, and 70% contribution that will goes to the class 2 type of drugs. So what are the class 2 types of the drug? The drug with the low solubility and the high permeability. So what is important for us? Either to have both highly soluble, highly permeable, or to have the more permeability and the less solubility. Now, what is the solubility? In the BCS, solubility is based on the highest dose strength in an immediate release product. A drug substance is considered highly soluble when the highest strength is soluble in 250 ml or less of aqueous media over a pH range of 1 to 6.8. So we saw the high dissolution, highly dissoluble. We saw the highly permeable, and now it is in line with the same. It is the highly soluble. So again, these definitions are important one from GPAS study point of view. When it is said to be the highly soluble, a drug substance is said to be the highly soluble when the highest strength of the is soluble in 250 ml or less of the aqueous medium. Which is the medium? The medium is aqueous. How much is the volume? Either 250 ml or less. And what is the pH range? It is between 1 to 6.8. Now, this is said to be the highly permeable one. So, based directly on the extent of intestinal absorption in vivo system in case of the human beings, or indirectly on the in vivo drug transfer across the human intestinal membrane, a drug substance is considered highly permeable when the extent of intestinal absorption is determined to be 85% or higher, which already we saw this. Now here a few of the classification and the examples based on the classification. The class 1, that is the rofecoxib, paracetamol, propranolol, metoprolol. The class 2 is the nimesulide, nifedipine, phenytoin, digoxin. The class 3 cyclovir, ranitidine, diphenhydramine. And the class 4, it is the cyclosporine A and the furosemide. The classification system, why this classification is important? Because of certain applications. Now, what are the applications? The applications of the BCS system, that is for correlating the in vitro dissolution profile with in vivo bioavailability of the drugs, for developing the in vitro dissolution specification, for developing a strategy for improving the bioavailability of the new chemical entity, either by improving the solubility or by improving the permeability of the drug, and for predicting the drug bioavailability by solubility or permeability limited. So what is important? That is the solubility and the permeability. Now, what is the takeaway message related with this last few part of the last lecture and today's lecture? We saw the dissolution, we saw the dissolution apparatus, we saw the permeability, we saw the solubility, we saw the BCS classification system. So overall, if we see the dissolution, it is a quality control test, helps to predict the drug release, batch to batch consistency, in vivo performance, bioequivalence, and is a regulatory requirement. Note that the dissolution, it is the quality control test. The dissolution, that is the official test, whereas diffusion, the diffusion is not the official test. I want to make it clear, the diffusion, it is not the official test. Dissolution, it is the official test. The solubility, dissolution, and permeability, they will govern the absorption of drug after oral injection. When we are ingesting orally the drug, it is important to have the solubility, dissolution, and the permeability in order to get absorbed completely in case of our body. The BCS is a drug development tool based on aqueous solubility and the intestinal permeability of the drugs. So the BCS classification, that is based on what? That is based on the aqueous solubility. And the BCS, they will classify the drugs in 4-box model, which is said to be the Avedon model, the 4-box model, the 4 classes. Now, after studying this, the next is the last part, which is said to be the polymerization. So after going through the coming couple of slides, we will going to understand the concept of the polymerization, why the polymers are important, how these are going to be used, why these are going to be used, where these are going to be used, and why these are important in case of the pre-formulation study. So we need to study the concept importance and the application of the pre-formulation or formulation development. So the lesson plan, that will be basic concept, example, and the application. Now again, in order to understand the pre-formulation, what is important? That is the safety, stability, and the efficacy, and the SES, that is the safety, efficacy, and the stability. So polymerization, that is because of the polymers, or how the polymers are going to be obtained. These are going to be obtained from the monomers. So single monomer that will be joined together multiple times to form the structure which is said to be the polymers. And the process by which this will going to occurring, that is said to be the polymerization. Just take an example of the polystyrene. This is the example of the polystyrene when there is a single unit of polystyrene in there. But when multiple units of polystyrene, they will join with each other, that will give the polystyrene. The single unit that is said to be the styrene. This is the styrene, and this is the polystyrene. Polymerization is what? Polymerization, these are the key to success in formulation development, specifically the modified dosage form. And these are important for the conventional dosage forms in case of what? These are important during the process of binding, disintegrating, coating, and the other purposes. They can be used as binding agent, they can be used as disintegrating agent, they can be used as a coating agents. How the polymers, these are going to be classified based on the source, natural source, semi-synthetic source, and the synthetic. These are going to be classified into the three different classes. So the examples of the natural, which are going to be obtained from the nature, plant, animal sources. Example is the cellulose, guar gum, xanthan gum, chitosan, and the alginate. Chitosan, that is also called as the chitosan. The semi-synthetic, that is the hydroxy ethyl cellulose, and the HPMC, that is the HPMC, that is the hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. HEC, that is the hydroxyethyl cellulose. The synthetic one, these are artificially synthesized into the lab, that is the SCMC, sodium carboxymethyl cellulose, CA, that is the cellulose acetate, CAP, cellulose acetate phthalate, MC, microcrystalline cellulose, EC, ethylene cellulose, PVA, polyvinyl alcohol, and the polyvinyl parallelism. These are the examples. Now, why polymers are important in case of the formulation and the development? In tablet, as a binder, disintegrant, and release modifier, the polymers, these are going to be applied. These are going to be used in case of the capsule shell manufacturing in order to give the elasticity to that of the capsules, in order to avoid the breaking of the capsules. In preparations of the emulsion, suspension, gels, modified release tablet, creams, and the hydrogels, the polymers, these are employed. In the preparation of the various novel drug delivery systems, NDDS, like say the microcapsules, microspheres, nanoparticles, and the liposomes, the polymers, they are having their usefulness. They are used in order to modify the drug release kinetics and the bioavailability of the drugs in targeting of the drugs to specific organ and for a particular region or a particular tissue. So the polymers, these are responsible as a targeting system, drug targeting system. Now there are examples of the some of the polymer which are going to be used as a matrix forming agents for the hydrophilic matrices. Matrix, that is nothing but the mesh-like structure in which the drug that is going to be loaded. So the examples are the hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, that is the HV grade, that is the polyvinyl pyrrolidone, PVP, sodium carboxymethyl cellulose, alginate, xanthan gum, locust bean gum combinations, and the carbacols. Now, what is the mechanism of action for the polymers? They will going to interact with that of the water, and when they will interact with that of the water, they will get swollen. So the swollen network that is going to be obtained, that is going to be formed in presence of the cross-linking agent. And they swell in case of the water but cannot dissolve.